Brooks Running has a new shoe for you runners out there. Did you hear that? Better turn up your volume. In fact, turn it up to the max. Introducing the all-new Ghost Max. It's got all kinds of things to make your knees and ankles feel protected, like Max Cushion, Max Soft Landings with DNA Loft V2 foam, and Max Smooth Rides with their Glide Roll Rocker. Feel better on your run with Ghost Max. Learn more at brooksrunning.com.
In 2017, I was consulting for a production company wanting to do a show about missing hikers. And they had sent me some cases to review, and one of them was the Chris Sylvia case. And he had disappeared from the Pacific Crest Trail in 2015. In that case, it was, near Los Angeles, about a 3-hour drive from Los Angeles. It's there near Warner Springs, Anza area is where he was last seen. And his gear was found on the trail. And he was 28 and he was living in his roommate's apartment. He immediately reminded me of that case in 1995, the Gabrielle Parker case. If you read the book, you'll know about it. And I just felt two things. One, I felt so bad for the family because I could see his brother talking about the case online and hoping he had been contacted by the producers of the production company. And he had mentioned that on Reddit. And I could see he had placed a lot of hope in Hollywood attention solving this case. And that broke my heart. Also because it reminded me of the other case. And also because Sylvia's gear had been found on the trail. I thought this case is solvable. So I called his brother and talked to his mother and asked for their blessing. Could I just, I said, I don't know, but I just promise you I'll get you some answers.
Tell us some of what you found or what you didn't find or anything that was interesting.
This is a real thing. So, some of you might not want spoilers, so you might want to learn it through the book. So just be aware of that if you're listening to this. I did find clues. One, I found a book that Chris Sylvia was carrying with him, but it wasn't with his backpack. It was in another location.
Wow.
And so that was like, whoa, what does that mean? And, in the book, I go through a lot of different contemplations of what that might mean, that his book was found somewhere else. And I also learned about a lot of hazards on the trail that people might not think about. One being marijuana grows, rattlesnakes, homicidal maniacs that are on the trail. Later, that gets in later in the book, there's a kidnapper that was kidnapping PCT hikers. So I just started to learn about all these other threats that weren't what we first think about when we're thinking of the PCT. And also there's, with Chris Sylvia, there's the 12 tribes.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the 12 tribes, Julie?
Yeah. We have I don't know I think it is the 12 tribes. They have a couple hostels on the Appalachian Trail, the Yellow Deli. I think it's the Yellow Deli Hostel or something like that. Yeah, I'm familiar with that, yes. Word spreads quickly a lot about these things up and down the trail.
First of all, for those of you who don't know, 12 Tribes is a religious community. They meet some definitions of a cult. They're not super dangerous, but it isn't compelling that perhaps hikers could be enticed to join their group and then disconnect from family. So that's why they're a theory of what might have happened to one or more of the PCT missing. But what happened with Kathy is I met her early on because as I looked in the Chris Sylvia case, I always look for patterns. Who else is going missing? Who else is dying on the PCT? What are the circumstances around those cases? So sure enough, right away, I'm learning about Chris Fowler and David O'Sullivan. And just to kind of set it up, Chris Sylvia went missing in 2015, Southern California. Then Chris Fowler went missing in 2016 in Washington State. Then David O'Sullivan went missing in 2017, also in Southern California, near Ottawa. So it's 111, a young male, one each year, 3 years in a row. So that's how I learned about Sally Fowler's webpage or Facebook, Bring Chris Sherpa Fowler Home. And I was watching everybody, all the people that were trying to help. I was very impressed with them and intrigued by them. And the one who intrigued me the most was Kathy Tarr, because she was close to me in age and she just seemed very motivated and positive. And I heard she was going to come down to Southern California to search for David O'Sullivan. And I was just so impressed. So I begged her to meet me so that we could compare notes. And we met in Hemet, California. And just right away, I just fell in love with her in a way. And I just asked her if I could document her journey as she was trying to find both those guys, Chris Fowler and David O'Sullivan. That's what started me getting in with a group.
Talk about what you know. I'm going to save Chris for the third individual. So talk about what you know about David O'Sullivan.
Meeting Kathy, she filled me in at that time. And David O'Sullivan is from Ireland, a really nice, disciplined young man. And he heard about the Pacific Crest Trail by reading Wild. That's what inspired him, at least. And he traveled from Ireland to the United States in 2017 to hike the trail. And he made it up to Idlewild, and then he just went off the map. He was just getting ready to head into the San Jacinto Mountains when he disappeared. He was new to hiking. He was young, and he's from Ireland where the mountains aren't that high. So what happens with San Jacinto, everybody's done the desert section of the PCT. It's been hot. Usually it's been sunny, not always, but often. Then they get to the San Jacintos and are out of wild. Oh, the weather's great. And they start hiking up. But before too long, they're at 9,000 feet. And there's the icy slopes that are quite treacherous. It's early. It might be March. It might be April. And they're not prepared for it mentally or even with their gear. And one of the heroes in my book is John King, Sanjak John. He does the trail report. And so before you hike up into the San Jacintos, you need to go to his website and read the trail report. And he'll tell you exactly what the trail conditions are on that trail report. And you'll know what you need to bring with you.
Where are we at with David O'Sullivan?
There's been 16 deaths on the Pacific Crest Trail that we know about. And it's been a natural hazard that has gotten these people. And 4 of them were slid off an icy slope. So I usually, being a ranger and seeing all that, I usually go to it was a natural hazard that got someone or killed someone. But there's just enough when you can't find a body. And there's these other things like the 12 tribes and, kidnappers and marijuana farmers that have been violent on the Pacific Crest Trail. It makes you question yourself. And it's concerning. And obviously, it's probably really concerning for the parents to not know what happened. But you can get lost and not found.
So Trail of the Lost, it consists of Chris Sylvia, David O'Sullivan, and then the case that hits really home to me, they all hit home, but the one that really hits home is the case of Chris Sherpa Fowler, who my younger sister is best friends with his mother, Sally Guyton Fowler. If you all have not listened to that episode with Sally, let me look here. It is episode number 82 of this show with Sally and my sister, because my sister is actually mentioned in your new book, not by name, but she is actually mentioned as part of the story. Let's talk about Chris.
Yeah, so Chris Fowler, he was a seasoned hiker, made it all the way from Mexico into Washington State. He was starting to enter the North Cascades in Washington. And a storm was coming in, and he started north from White Pass on October 12th, 2016, and there's been no sign of him since then. And so his stepmother, Sally Fowler, initiated her own investigation. When a thru hiker goes missing, it can be extremely frustrating because it's like just one national park or one county or even necessarily one state. You're hiking a 2,000 plus trail, right? Where did you disappear? Also, hikers hitchhike, and they bump around. And so it makes it very hard to plan a search because your search area is potentially huge. And so Sally and her former husband, Chris's dad, Mike Fowler, they struggled in the beginning to get law enforcement to take them seriously. And they prevailed and they did open up a missing hiker case. Sally in particular is extremely brave. I'm very honored that through Kathy, I learned more about Sally and introduced myself to Sally. And she agreed also to let me document her journey to try to find Chris. And, I just think the world of both Kathy and Sally. They're very brave to share their hearts with us.
Hello, saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.